Hey everyone, well, MattTGM here. Now it's been over a year since I got into Fairy Tail, with having binge watched the entire series from start to finish, minus a few omissions of course, and I even made a special retrospective that really resonated and gelled with a lot of you people. So, to celebrate, I thought, why not return to Fairy Tail, and to kick things off, I'll be reviewing the movies for the very first time, that being both Phoenix Priestess and Dragon Cry, since I haven't seen them up until this point, and I thought it would be a nice way to continue since I finished the entire original series. But before we begin, if you like what you've seen, hit the bell means, like the video, click the subscribe button if you're new, and hit the notification icon if you want more anime content from yours truly. With that said, let's get back to the video, and all in all, let's get along with this double review. Kicking off, we start with Fairy Tail Phoenix Priestess, which is being done by A1 Pictures. Released in Japan for August 18, 2012, and then a year later in the West for September 13, 2013, and also came to DVD on that same year. There was also even a 12-minute prologue to the movie called The Sunrise, which was released as an extra for the DVD release of this movie, and was also bundled along with a special edition of Volume 6 of the manga. Now, it was also released for February 15, 2013, and this story was also published as a 30-page one-shot chapter, which was also bundled with tickets for the Fairy Tail Phoenix Priestess of the movie, which was for those who purchased the movie in advance. Anywho, let's get on with the actual film though. So this movie actually takes place after Fairy Tail won the Grand Magic Games, with it following them as they encounter a mysterious girl named Eclair, who possesses a powerful Phoenix Stone, and is also pursued by a power-hungry prince who seeks immortality. So the guild must protect Eclair, as well as the stone, from both the prince as well as the Dark Guild, while also uncovering the secrets of Eclair's past, and the overall true nature of the Phoenix Stone. And that is the overall story, and overall, I enjoyed it, as it was a nice captivating adventure, and a bit more lore to the world of Fairy Tail in general, learning things like about the Fire Village and the secrets of the Phoenix Stone, as well as Eclair's deal in general. I had to say this movie was very well paced, as it took time on learning who Eclair really was, as well as also giving a nice subversion of expectations, especially during the climax, with a really emotional ending. And even though this is just a movie, in terms of the narrative, it's definitely on par with some of Fairy Tail's overall best arcs, even if this movie is more self-contained. Now the characters are enjoyable as they were in the main show, with some of them having their few moments to shine here. Though, out of the main cast, I think the one that gets the more focus here would have to be Lucy, and her new relationship with Eclair. With them, while coming from both different backgrounds, they do share one thing in common, and that's mostly due to them losing their parents, and they overall share a nice bond with each other. Even if Eclair herself doesn't start towards friendly to them. However, speaking of Eclair herself, she was a nice addition, and while she does start off as abrasive and closed off due to her losing her memories as well as her disdain for magic, but after she regained her memories, she started becoming more friendly and very kind, and you can really feel her pain. And her friend Momon was also adorable. Shout out to both Jessica Calvello from Hung Attack on Titan fame, as well as Tiffany Grant from Asuka Neon Genesis Evangelion fame, for really providing great performances for both Eclair and Momon respectively. The same can be said for both the returning cast of Fairy Tail in general, and as for the villains, especially both Dist and the Carbuncle Guild, they're just really solid antagonists, as well as solid foils for this movie, with some really cool designs here, and they each provide a really interesting gimmick and obstacle for Fairy Tail in general. However, the main one, that being Dist, does suffer a bit in terms of motivation. That is of course until you do watch the prologue where you do get more of his backstory here. But even then, I do feel like this movie could have added in the prologue organically. Otherwise, outside of maybe an intimidating design as well as aura and stellar performance by Taliesin Jaffe, he comes of course the same tier of villains as say Aragorn. The others like say Chase, Coordinator and Cannon have cool designs and interesting fights. Oh, and there's also this character named Cream and well, he exists. But yeah, outside of that, the new characters in this movie are pretty solid. Now as for the presentation, this movie really looks good. Now obviously given that this is obviously a film, it obviously has a higher budget than say a traditional anime episode, with some really stunning locations and imagery, like places like Alexandria and Rose Garden. And the character designs, especially for the movie characters, are really all good. My standouts would have to be Dist, Eclair, Chase and Coordinator. And the fights themselves, they're great as always here, especially with the last major fights in this movie, where you can definitely feel a grand sort of scale in this, on par with say the final fights of the Russian Sis arc. As for the music itself, well, what else is to say? It's been done by Yasuharu Takanashi, which again is a top tier soundtrack in its own right. Overall, this movie was a really enjoyable watch. Seeing essentially a fairy tale adventure in full length was really awesome to see. The new characters are mostly enjoyable, as well as the animation, fights, music are all really great. And when it comes to an ending, it was really emotional, and overall provides an interesting story and new lore that still feels organic to the overall lore of fairy tale itself. While I wouldn't call it a mind blower in any sense, it still has some really cool moments here, and it's still a nice watch. And given the fact that it is being self-contained, I think it's still essential viewing. So I think overall, this movie was pretty neat. So overall, I give Fairy Tail the movie Phoenix Priestess 4 moments out of 5. And if you're a fan of the series, then I definitely think you should definitely watch this movie. With that said, there's another movie to review, and it's... Then we come to Fairy Tail Dragon Cry, which was the second movie being once again done by A1 Pictures. And it was released in May 6, 2017 in Japan, and then later in the West on August 16, 2017 in theaters, while both the DVD releases came in Japan on November 17, 2017, and then on March 6, 2018 for the West. And fun fact, our interview with Hiro Mashima also described the concept of Dragon Cry, with him saying that during the original storyboard, which almost provided 200 pages worth of content, and he also wanted the movie to coincide with the climax of the story, although he didn't plan on that initially happening, as there were talks of a second movie was brought up directly after the screening of the first movie. And also, what the first movie, he wanted the viewers to cry. But as for the second movie, he wanted it to be more simpler, with some more action-packed fight scenes and some flashy battles. A certain character's past that was revealed in this movie wasn't even touched up in the manga. Mashima also worked on the storyboard, as if it was a weekly serialization. And yeah, unlike the first movie, there's no special prologue here. And with that, let's get to the actual review. So this film takes place in the midst of the final season, which was after the Avatar arc and before the Alvarez arc, which obviously was the last arc of the original series. With the titular fairy tale set off to retrieve a dangerous and powerful artifact called the titular Dragon Cry, which is said to have enough power to destroy the world, from the various rage and anger of all the dead dragons within. Among that, they had to steal from traitor to Fiore, that being Zash Kane, who now resides in Stella. However, upon their attempt, they also discover a girl named Sonia, who has her own motives of using that artifact to help her own people. However, things start to go AWOL from there. Now overall, I actually really loved this story, as it overall had more high stakes here and really added a lot more continuity to the overall show, and really just shows some more insight with the whole dragons thing, as well as this artifact. And there were some really surprising twists and turns here near the end, and overall provides a really good setup for the final arc, even though I do think this is much better if you watch this after the final arc. And just like with the first movie, I found the pacing to be really well good here. As for the characters, they are the same as they were before, in both the first movie and in the show. However, where I think Lucy got a focus in the previous movie, this movie leans more towards Natsu, having a personal tie to the overall story, and some genuine standout moments here, and interactions, especially with the new character being Sonya here. And as for the new characters, they are also enjoyable, with Sonya being the main new lead for this, who's more kinder and more compassionate, caring about the kingdom and her close friend Animus. And she's a much different vibe to say Eclair, being performed greatly here by Erica Mendes. And as for the others, mostly being the villains, they're solid as well. I do think Zash works better than Dest as a more love-to-hate villain, and right off the bat, you get to see on why he's such a hateful bastard. And as for the 3 stars, they're decent, just like the carbuncle. The one oddity I did have when watching this movie that I don't think anyone has checked is I don't think they mentioned their names. But even so, they have some really cool designs and abilities here. Now as for the presentation, once again, this movie really looks beautiful. And again, it just shows on how much a bigger budget allows for an overall better quality, with some really stunning visuals, especially in the Kingdom of Stella, and just some really top-notch character models and fight scenes, especially the final fight, which honestly gave me so much chills, just like with the fight against Natsu vs Jalal in Season 1. It's honestly peak. And I'm saying this in stark contrast, given the fact that this movie is paired with the final season. And well, compare this and the overall animation quality in the Alvarez arc, and you can really tell of which one got the better focus here. Which really is a damn shame, but well, what can you do? Natsu himself also gets a really cool new outfit, and the characters really look nice here, especially the new ones. And also, music here, once again done by Takahashi, the GOAT as always, is stellar. Oh, and I can't forget, of course, the best thing about this movie, Ursa Bunny Girl. Need I say more? Overall, I think this movie is even better than the first one, as it ties into the grander narrative and adds a bit of lore to the final season, among centering on a personal stake, especially with Natsu. The new characters are also fairly solid, and I enjoyed the overall antagonists a lot more than the last one. For me, it really ranks among the best that Fairy Tail has to offer in terms of arcs. And so, I will give it 4.5 Sonyas out of 5, and it's definitely worth it for fans of the anime. But hey, why let me sell you on why this movie is awesome, when I can have my good friend Matt here to tell you on why this movie and Fairy Tail itself is peak. So take it away, my friend.
Hello everyone, this is inconsistent Fairy Tail video uploading YouTuber MattTGM here, and I'm here today to give my thoughts on Fairy Tail Dragon Cry, as well as the series as a whole, hopefully without yapping for half an hour. What about Phoenix Priestess? It's good. Probably. It gave us that one cool screenshot of Natsu and Lucy. Truth be told, I haven't seen it yet, but I have seen Dragon Cry, and it's a great time. It's more of the Fairy Tail that you know and love, now with truly gorgeous animation, best shown off in the fight scenes, as well as that scene with Lucy and Ursa. If you know, you know. The plot is honestly in the upper tier of Fairy Tail compared to the other arcs, educating us more about the ancient past of the dragons and even giving Natsu a miniature character arc that makes the Alvarez Army arc better upon retroactive viewing. Dragon Cry takes place after the Avatar arc, and it is a much better showcase of Fairy Tail's improved ability and unity after the 1 year time skip than the Avatar arc could ever hope to be. So make sure to check this movie out to greatly amplify your Fairy Tail viewing experience, especially if you view it in chronological order. Fairy Tail on the whole is a special anime to me. It's goofy, corny at times, full of cliches, and it has plenty of flaws, but I love it. It brings out emotions in me. Joy, anger, sadness, laughter, that's a rare feat for a show for someone like me, and Fairy Tail does it consistently. The characters are lovable, the world is intriguing, the mysteries and plot twists are genuinely impressive, and it's hard not to get attached to the group of Fairy Tail. After all, the whole power of friendship cliche may be overused, but the power of bonds is an important theme in today's increasingly divided world. If we could apply more of that message to real life, I think the world would be a more wholesome and more kind place. I can look past the flaws, the filler, the plot holes, because I enjoy the overall product of Fairy Tail so much. And isn't that the most valuable form of media? Something that just makes you happy, regardless of the flaws. And that is what Fairy Tail is to me. Also, Urza is best girl. Fight me.
And thank you guys for watching this double review of the Fairy Tail movies. This was an awesome opportunity to do, and I'm really glad to do more Fairy Tail as you guys loved it the first time. And there are more Fairy Tail content coming your soon anyway. So with that said, special thanks to my patrons, and Mad Kaiser out.